Greetings and salutations, fine people. I'm Patti Alvarez. Welcome to The Good Soul, a show where we'll have supercharged chats with everyday humans from all walks of life and unpack what in their story will inspire us all. We'll extract the untapped wisdom, distill it, and serve it up to you in all the right ways that will engage, enlighten, and most of all, inspire growth within your soul. I think people are awesome. So join me on this journey through the hearts and minds of ordinary people to uncover the good soul within you. This is The Good Soul. Hello, universe. Welcome to The Good Soul, episode 5, The Pursuit of Happiness. So I'm giving the warmest and most sincere, heartfelt welcome to my dearest friend, or one of my dearest friends, I should say. She's up there, Cindy Bishop. Welcome to the show,
Hi,
Cindy.
thank you. I'm so
Aw.
happy to be on the show.
Well, thank you
Yay.
for being here.
Yeah.
So this was kind of like a last minute thing.
Mhm.
The topic of our show today is the pursuit of happiness. And I said this to Cindy before. I'm going to say it to you guys right now. Whether you're Adolf Hitler or Mother Teresa, that is one thing that we all have in common. We all want to be happy. That's for sure,
Yes.
right? That is
Yes.
one thing we all are striving for. So, are you ready to get happy? Cindy, are you ready to get
I
happy?
am. I
Manny,
am.
are you ready to get happy? Yes. Okay, let's get happy. So by the end of the episode, we're going to be doing the happy dance. I'm such a dork. Anyway, so guess what? You can learn to be happier. It's not something that you have to settle into and say, this is the fate I'm destined for. We will today reveal the secrets to you on how to live a happier life. It's one thing to talk about it, but how, right? How we
Mhm.
think, I want to get rich, or when I lose weight, or when I get that house, or when I get that car. But studies have shown that no, that's not the case. So today's episode is based on a book called The Happiness Advantage by a man named Sean Acorn, who I hold near and dear to my heart. I've read 2 of his books and they're fantastic. He gives us the formula, the inside scoop on how to become happier human beings.
Mhm.
So I want to start things off with a quote. I read this probably about 6 months ago online, and I think it's fantastic. It was said by Jim Carrey. And he says, I think everyone should get rich and famous and do everything they ever dreamed of so that they can see that it is not the answer. Right? So how about that? Did that resonate with any of you? Either of you? I think,
Truth,
yeah.
right? Truth.
Absolutely. So, lucky for you guys, I'm going to give you the inside scoop on how to get happier. Yeah, I'm on it. So, research has proven that we all have the power to be happier. Many of us have suffered from trauma, have suffered from heartbreak, but we do have the power. Why do we love? Why do we wake up in the morning? What is our why? Right? What is our why? And it's all relative. So, how do we find meaning and purpose? I'm hooked on this topic, and it's all relative to each. So my happiness may be completely something different than what Cindy's happiness is.
Mhm.
So, ooh, I just made up
Yeah.
a new word,
I know.
Cindiness.
Close to Cindyism.
I love it. I know
That's
Cindyism.
so
I hope we
perfect.
get a Cindyism out of this
Oh, I'm sure you
episode.
will. No
Yeah,
doubt.
and
No
I'll like
doubt.
ring a bell.
Yeah.
Cindyism. So tell me though, what does happiness mean to you?
Happiness to me is just feeling love
Mm.
in so many different forms, but just feeling the love of someone who I'm around or with, or happiness is looking at someone smiling and they're smiling back at you. It's just feeling like you can be completely 100% yourself and you're feeling accepted and loved. And, so that's happiness for me, basically, is just the smile, the acceptance, the love, and, um, really just the joyfulness that you get out of meeting, and being with your tribe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's interesting because it sounds like happiness is a matter of the heart for
it is
you.
very much the heart.
Yes.
Yes, it is very much the heart.
Yeah, well, you're very much in line with what studies have shown is that um, social connection is the number one. And we had this conversation with our daughters. We had this conversation with our daughters over the weekend because they were kind of complaining that they're not
Yeah.
as social as they would like to be. And I was kind of like Rachel was saying, well, it's okay. And I agree with her, it is okay.
Mhm.
But but where are the studies that back that it's okay? Because I don't know that I necessarily agree that it's okay. I think it's okay to be at peace with who we are and what we're
Right.
doing, right? But we always want to be kind of um, striving for more, I guess. But I'm trying to find another word, another way to phrase it without it sounding like there's necessarily a gun to our head.
Mhm.
But I love that you brought up people and not things.
Right.
Things.
Well, and also I always think to myself when I see people is just a smile goes a long way. You don't
Yeah.
have to get in a conversation with every stranger that you meet, and it has to be authentic. You have to feel it in your heart, but if you smile at someone and give them eye contact, it doesn't matter what age they are,
Mhm.
the reception back to you is love.
Yeah.
They smile back at you and they feel it. And just for that split second, you have a connection with somebody that you may never have again, but you didn't ruin their day by not giving them the time or giving them a bad look or just
Sure.
ignoring them completely like they're not here.
Well, we radiate, and
Mhm.
part of why I asked you to do this is because you're arguably one of the happiest people I know,
Aw, I
and
try.
well, it's I don't and but the
Yeah.
thing is, I don't think you really do have to try
Yeah.
very hard. I think it's something that is in your tissues. I think it's
Mhm.
in your who you're made up of, what you're made up of, and, I wanted to point this out too. It's not something I wanna trivialize
Mhm.
because I understand that somebody can come on, Spotify or iTunes, and they can tune into The Good Soul and be like, "Yeah, easy for you to say,
Yeah.
like, you didn't just get diagnosed with cancer, you didn't just lose your
Mhm.
son to suicide." So we all suffer from trauma and all these events, and Cindy is
Definitely.
no different. I mean, you
Mm-mm,
lost your
no.
brother, he was at a
Yeah.
very young age, and you both of your parents
Yep.
now, and the ability to maintain joy and
Mhm.
contentment through these tragedies, right? That to
Mhm.
me is like what you've learned to probably achieve.
Yeah.
I don't know if it always felt that way for you at a young
No,
age, but
I mean, even at a young age when I lost my brother, it was, when you go through all the stages of grief, you feel like you're isolated, you're on your own. And as time goes on, you start to remember the joyful moments you had with them.
yeah,
And then you're so grateful to have that time that you can
sure,
say he was my brother, this was my mother and father.
sure.
And so it brings me such great memories that I feel the love of my family when I think of stuff like that.
Yeah,
Instead of going, we always remember the bad, it seems like, of
sure,
tragic moments in your life. But when you can learn or try, not learn, try to find something wonderful that happened, just find
sure.
that moment where you laughed together, where you had a special bonding moment. It could be putting your feet in the grass, playing outside, just anything. It just makes you realize how wonderful life is.
So whenever I'm giving my condolences to
Mhm.
somebody, whether it's on Facebook or in person, I always say, "May their greatness live through you
Yeah.
and through generations to come," and especially when it's a parent
Mhm.
or a sibling or a
Mhm.
close, intimate loved one. And to that, I would add, that's completely how I look at the loss of my parents. I mean, I rarely get sad when I think of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I constantly say my father is in my bones. Like I can literally feel him in my bones. And my mother, I mean, she's part of the air I breathe and I celebrate them and I
Yeah.
live my best life in their
Mhm.
honor. I mean, let's face it, I didn't start a Good Soul podcast because I'm a pessimistic curmudgeon. I started one because all of the great things I
Right.
feel like they instilled in me. So I'm gonna wrap this segment up for now, but don't go away because when we come back, we're going to talk about success and how success relates to our level of happiness. So don't go away. Greetings, friends and loved ones. Welcome back. The Good Soul, episode 5, The Pursuit of Happiness. I'm here with my dear friend and probably one of the happiest people I know. Well, I know one thing. You're one of those people who probably makes me the
Uh,
happiest.
yeah, you too.
Really?
Right back at
You make
you.
me laugh till
Yeah.
I cry. Do
I
you
love to
remember?
laugh
Well,
until I
they were
cry.
over for game night a couple weeks ago, and when Cindy and Niall left, and Tracy and Matthew were with us, but he was like, "That's so sweet. That's so great that you have such a a connection with somebody like Cindy. Like, he sees
Aw.
how, like, you just yeah, he was like, "It's bright." He said,
Yay.
"It's bright." We're very yeah, we
Yeah.
do. No, you make me laugh till I cry.
I love to laugh till I cry.
Well, let's just
It's
PS so
fun.
Cindy, as we know, and if you don't know that we have a yoga studio, and Cindy is a teacher at the studio,
Mhm.
and I always laugh when I come in on Fridays or, when Monday, Wednesday at 5 o'clock, and I walk back and forth during her class. I'm like, is there a comedian in there?" Because, like, every 3.5 minutes, the whole room busts out laughing in a yoga class. I'm like, "Everybody looks mad in my yoga class.
Yeah.
Everybody's, like, happy in your class." But yes,
Aw,
you're extraordinary, Cindy. I'm
thank
so
you.
glad.
You
This
are
was the last
too.
minute. Now, Vanny was supposed to be sitting there today, and I'm so glad that I just bing, I was like, "Cindy, hey, you wanna sit and
Yeah,
talk to me?"
I
So
am too. I'm glad to be
yeah,
here.
good, good, good.
Yeah.
So we left off talking about,
Okay.
does success come with happiness or does happiness come with success? So studies have shown, now this is a study that Sean did with over 1,600 people. It's a Harvard University study. And these facts, and this is probably one of the most important ones, state that no, that in fact, happiness comes not from success, but success comes from happiness.
Mm.
So that really hit me hard. So, rarely do we want to fight our genes, right? So let's bring it back to a grassroots level and where we can affect this aspect of our life, where we can make a difference. Rarely does it come from our genes. So we can have a mother that was a curmudgeon, a father that was abusive. We could have grown up in foster homes. We could have had suffered major trauma as a young person, right? But we all do have the ability to shift that. So you don't have to have born into a charmed life and with a silver spoon in your mouth,
Mhm.
right, in order to live a happy life. We talked about this earlier, but I was going to save it for later, but I think it's appropriate to bring it up now. This is a really strong fact. 10% of our happiness is based on the outside world.
Mm.
90% of our happiness is based on how we process and perceive the things that go on within our lives. Talk about feeling
Wow.
empowered, right? Talk about
Mhm.
feeling empowered. So, what you want to do is you want to change your habits and change your mindset. And Sam and I talked about this last week in our episode on atomic habits. But positive emotions, they flood our brains with dopamine and serotonin. So, dopamine and serotonin, for those of you who don't know, they engage us in learning. They help us to organize new information. They help us to retain that information so we can use it for later use, whether
Mhm.
we need it on the job or we need it in an argument or we need it to prove our point at some level. But it also offers better neuron connections that help us with our creativity, which,
Oh.
yeah, that's big for you. You're
Yeah.
also a painter, which I love.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Cindy paints murals, which I think is
Mhm.
fantastic. Are you still in the game
Faux
with that?
penny. No, we sort of retired
You
during
did.
the pandemic.
All right, I
Yeah.
was trying to give you a plug,
I
but forget
know.
that.
We
All
didn't
right.
wanna climb up scaffolding anymore.
Oh my yeah. Where was I? Oh, we were in Disney World in, the Spaceship Earth. There's that one scene where they have Michelangelo on the scaffolding. That's
I
I
know.
just picture you on scaffolding painting the
Yeah. Oh,
ceiling of the
yeah. Oh,
Sistine
yeah.
Chapel. No, but you did beautiful work. Well, okay, so forget that
Thank you.
plug.
Yeah.
But anyway, um, what does everybody want? Everybody wants to be happy, right?
Mhm.
So, pleasure, and again, I brought this up to you earlier. Pleasure is short-lived, and this is what we do a lot. We go for quick fixes when we want to be
Mm.
happy. We go for chocolate, we go for alcohol, we go for food, we go for binge watching and that sort of thing. But the ancient Greeks defined happiness as the joy that we are feeling when we're striving for potential. And I think of
Mm.
Tony Robbins. I read this in, I believe he says it in Unleash the Power Within, from Within,
Mm.
that when he runs on the treadmill, he has a mantra. And if anybody is listening to this podcast, probably is some form of a self help junkie, they'll know this quote is, every day in every way, I'm getting stronger and stronger. And he would run on the treadmill every day. And I sometimes when I'm running on the treadmill, if I'm doing something that's rhythmic, I think of that. I think of that every day in every way. I'm getting stronger and stronger. So mantras are important, and remembering that, of course, I'll say this again, it's the growth, it's the
Mhm.
process. It's back to what we talked about with Andy Warhol last week on the Atomic Habits episode, that it's almost like the foreplay is not to be like naughty, but like the foreplay is better than the sex, sort of. Then once it's
Mhm.
done, it's like boom, and then you kind of crash and you
Mhm.
feel like you want more and more and more. But getting back to also what we talked about earlier, number one, above and beyond anything, and this kind of comes back to your definition of happiness, is our deep social connections
Mhm.
and what a strong bearing that they have
Mhm.
on um, on our ability to be happy and our ability to kind of connect with ourselves. I have a quote that I say at the end of every class is, if you think that everyone else is an idiot, right, and you're the only smart one, then you're not
Yeah.
there yet. You're not
Mm-mm.
enlightened. You know, keep
Mm-mm.
looking, keep searching, keep finding. So, ask yourself this on a regular basis. What is your personal definition of happiness? I mean, let's face it. We're living in probably one of the best times in human history, right? There's the fewest amount of people dying of disease. We're not actively engaged in a war, right? At this point, obviously, we're out and defending other countries, but we are not. America is not. But it's not leading to elevated levels of happiness, but rather, this is the sad part, and it's kind of coming to me, the real pandemic, the real problem is leading to elevated levels of depression and
Mhm.
suicide.
Right.
Um,
I think people don't, sometimes you have to remember that happiness is so many different things.
mm,
And so it can be, happiness can be helping someone, and just making you feel so good, valued, you're
yeah,
valued. And happiness can also be just coming on the mat and just going into a child's pose and realizing you're about to give yourself 1 hour of self care and
sure.
away from everyone else. This is your time,
Mhm,
meditation, all that. There's so many different forms of happiness,
yeah,
and people don't realize they don't they want happy they think of happiness as you're just so happy, you're smiling, you're laughing, when you can just be happy being content and
mhm.
being at peace, you know?
We talked about contentment too.
Mhm.
So, and back to that 90%, 10% statistic that really hit me hard is for some reason, and I heard this in Living Untethered by Michael Singer, and I'm definitely going to do a whole podcast. It's
Mhm.
one of my favorite books. But why is it that we feel as though it is the universe's moral obligation to hand deliver us our happiness on a platter?
Mhm. Right.
Why do we feel like and if we don't get what we want or what we need or something bad happens to us, like, oh, I have a black cloud over my head and what's the matter with me and what's wrong with me?
Mhm.
That's a big one for me is
Oh,
that to really
yeah.
recognize like the world is not here to deliver to me all of
Mm-mm.
my needs. It's my job to, as I said, to be an active participant, to go out and actively seek and find those joys and
Right.
how I'm perceiving, right? How I'm perceiving things. If you're stuck in the hospital, if you can find a way to laugh with the nurses, we used to bring when in ICU, we used to bring the hospital staff donuts, and they loved
Yeah.
us. It was sad.
Mhm.
I always laugh because my mother's funeral, one of the nurses was there, and Dr. Horkheimer, my mother's oncologist, came in, and she was like, and the nurse was like, Patty, I don't think I've ever seen him at a patient's funeral. Why? Because,
Yeah.
happiness.
Oh,
We just kind
yeah.
of turn this tragic situation, and even my
Mhm.
parents on their last
Isn't
day
that
turn this.
something?
It is, it really is. Um, so, but most people think they have to work hard and success to get to success and happiness, right? But I say, well, yes, you have to work towards it, but also remember that it's a moving target, right?
Mhm.
It's going to move around a lot. So, for example, Manny and I just built our dream house, right? Yeah, we built a house and we're in a great area, great neighborhood. But when are we putting a pool in? When are we finishing the basement? When are we want a pool house. He
When am
wants a
I getting
fancy
my big
tractor.
kitchen?
Right, yeah, like when is enough
No, yeah,
enough? This is where the word contentment comes into play, and you can relate it to your own situation. If you're an athlete, if you're trying to beat a personal best, if your kid this is really big for me, is people who are living vicariously through their children, and unless
Mm,
my child gets number 1 in whatever relay or what match or this, that, and the other thing, that's a lot really hard, and I feel like it's a lot of pressure on our children because we
definitely.
really do inherit all of these things,
Mhm.
right? And we pass them on to our children. So that's something really important for all of us to keep in mind. They're watching us very closely. So here's the key. Here's the key. We want to flip the formula. We want to keep reminding ourselves that our happiness is going to bring our success and not vice versa. Success doesn't make you happier, but it's the happiness that makes you more successful. And intelligence, right? That's only going to account for your job success, your technical abilities, right? But 75% of happiness and success is how we process the world, right? Our
Mhm.
perception of the world. So we have to keep this in mind, and we have to understand that it's our behavior that really matters. So, social connection, I love this. I love this. Social connection, right, is just as predictive of how we'll end up living as obesity, as our blood
Mhm.
pressure, as to whether or not we smoke cigarettes or the quality of food we eat. So can you imagine
Wow.
that? I
Mm-mm.
mean, I can't even get my
That's
head around that. Like, it
crazy.
really is. So, we talked about the blue zones with Dr. Nicole on her show, The Elle Show. She's on WSIC on Fridays at 2 o'clock. But we talked about the blue zones, and that made me so, it really moved and inspired me to think, like, wow, how important the people around us are. So,
Mhm.
thank you for being one of
Thank
those people in my
you.
life,
Thank
sweet Cindy. I
you.
love you so
I
much.
love this. I love
Yes,
it.
I totally agree. So we're gonna wrap this up, segment 2, and our next segment, are you a glass half empty or a glass half full person? So stay tuned, don't go away. We'll be right back with Cindy Bishop on the Pursuit of Happiness, the Good Soul. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to The Good Soul, episode 5, The Pursuit of Happiness. Tell me, I'm feeling like I'm already a happy person, just like in the 2 short segments that we've been
Mhm.
talking. How about you?
I feel great. I
Yeah.
feel super happy.
All
I
right.
do.
What about
Very
you, baby? Are you
comfortable.
happier? Are you happier? I think I all right,
Happy
good.
is feeling
Good.
comfortable.
Well, we hope you are happy out there too. So that's the goal for
Yeah.
the episode. So, um is happiness hereditary? Are you optimistic by nature or by nurture? So, while genes are responsible for the baseline of our happiness, right? Our baseline does not have to be our destiny. And this is really important to understand. I need for everybody to understand that you have the power. You can harness your power. I'm sure most of you have seen Life is Beautiful. Have you seen the movie Life is
Life is
Beautiful?
beautiful.
It's
Life
subtitled in
is beautiful.
Italian, and
Oh.
I can't remember. He won the Academy Award. I can't think of the Italian actor's name, but it's shot in a concentration camp during the Holocaust, and
Oh.
he spends the whole experience basically amusing his son. And it's such a beautiful story. We
Mm.
have to watch that. And if you haven't watched it already, it's really it's a testament to what we're talking about right here today. That you don't have to settle your fate on a tragedy that you've dealt with, something that's kind of
Mhm.
took you down. You have
Mhm.
every ounce of power within you. And as we talked about with the loss of your brother, I mean, that's
Mhm.
major, Cindy. At such
Yeah.
what were you, 17 years old?
I was a freshman in college, so I was like turning 20.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
think, there's a couple things. I mean, I say this to the girls a lot, and I wish I said this the other day when we were talking at the house, is that you are not your thoughts, right? You are
Mhm.
not your thoughts. Your
Right.
thoughts are no different than Alice in Wonderland or The Wizard of Oz.
Mhm.
Your thoughts are a product of your imagination, of your creativity. Sometimes it's our fear, sometimes it's our paranoia, right? And
Yeah,
sometimes
very
it's our
true.
happiness. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So we'll think something and we'll kick our body into this position where it's the reality. I remember being on an airplane once, and I was white knuckling it. I was so nervous. And the person I was with looked at me and said, "You are in position like the plane is literally crashing right now. And you got to stop. Like, have a drink, do
Yeah.
whatever you have to do to calm the you know what down." And it's kind of like, look at that as metaphor for life,
Mhm.
right? And we have the ability to break those chains. It's a choice, it's not a practice. We're
You have
born.
you have the ability to get away from toxic people that bring you down, that steal your happiness, and I know that's quotes that people say, "Oh, don't steal my happiness, don't steal my joy." But there are people out there that are they just they don't I don't really feel like a human being really truly wants to steal your joy or happiness. They're
Yeah.
just in that just awful state of
Mm.
mind, yeah, where
Cindy,
they don't realize what
I
they're doing to
I
others.
don't feel like I at this age, and it's like 35 and below, yes, but I feel like at this age,
Mhm.
I don't allow myself to get close enough to anybody who is gonna
Mhm.
steal my joy. I've learned to really, get, polish my skills at, like, keeping people at an
Right.
arm's length,
I
where
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I
So
agree.
you're
I
not
mean,
out
yeah.
there fighting with
Oh, no,
everybody.
no,
Yeah.
no, no.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just stayed away from them.
Yeah.
You will encounter those people in your
Yeah.
life. You will have an experience with them
Yeah.
and you will think they are absolutely wonderful. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden you realize, wow, that just brought me down. That
Yeah.
just took me down
Yeah.
and I can't deal with it anymore. So you learn to walk away from
Yeah.
situations like that. You move on. Yeah.
Well, and then we have these like pop moments, right? Like I was leaving Dario's going on to 150, going left, that hell
Yeah,
turn.
yeah.
And I go to turn and the traffic is at a standstill. Like, where is this lady going?
Mhm.
She wouldn't let me in. So I found my moment and I nosed my way in and
Mhm.
she lays on her horn. And I turn around. I'm not going to hold up my middle fingers, but
Oh
I turned
yeah.
around like little Miss Susie Sunshine and I was like, just F you, I like, and then I stopped and I turned and I was like, what did I just do?
Oh yeah.
I pray I don't end up on the Mooresville Moms Facebook page with a
Oh
picture of
yeah.
the back of my car that says "Good soul." My like, but what I'm saying is like we can be toxic too
Oh,
at times,
yeah, don't talk
right?
to me about the car
Yeah,
because I am a
you get
totally
road
different
rage.
person. It's
Yeah,
almost like it's therapy for me when I was working in Dallas, Texas. Is I would drive to work and I'd be going off the road, getting, finding the quickest way to get there. And then I'm like, ah, and then I get out of the car and I go, hi, how are
yeah.
you? And but I really was like that. It was like, I don't know.
Well, this will lead me to a really important statistic that according to this Harvard study, the top 10% of happy people are not happy all the time.
Mhm.
So that's another thing. It would be kind of weird, right? It would be
Yeah.
very Pollyannic. And I don't
Yeah.
know what drug a person would be on, maybe if they were happy all the time.
Right.
So you have to find this balance, right?
Mhm.
And remembering the pleasure principle versus joy and contentment.
Right.
So we find happiness through these short-term pops, right? But, um, but joy and contentment is really the goal, is to find
Mhm.
this like kind of steady river that flows. So no matter what happens in your life, and some people have to survive the most insurmountable, like really, oh my God, what would I do? I can't imagine type
Yeah.
scenarios, and they survive. We're gonna
Mhm.
survive. I mean, you're gonna survive. You just put one foot in front of the other. So again, we have the baseline, we have the power to improve it. If we choose to do simple things, right? We stay
Mhm.
grateful and we have positive habits, right? But here is the most important question of the segment. Are you a glass half empty person? Or are you a glass half full person?
Ah. I am both at times. I am both. Did my thing just pop out? I clearly am.
That's okay. I
It's
got you. Don't
okay.
worry
You
about
got
it.
me.
Just leave it
Okay.
till the next segment.
Something just popped
You're
out of
good.
my
You're
ear.
good.
I can be both. It just depends.
Okay.
Really and truly, I can't say I'm one or the other. It
Okay.
depends on my mood. It depends on the situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
How about you?
I would say that if on paper, if somebody asked me that question, I would definitely say I'm a glass half full. I
Mhm.
think that if anybody who's close to me, who knows me and loves me, were to ask that question or be asked that question, I would probably be like the first person that popped in their mind, like, oh, I know a glass half full person, and her name is
Yeah.
Patty.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and I know the answer, my husband is a glass half empty person, if I had to guess. You're content. Imani is a content person,
Yeah.
but he's very cautious.
But you say on paper you are half full, but
Mhm.
in your mind, are you half full all
Yes.
the time? Like all the
Um,
time?
there's a few topics
Yeah.
that get me. Money
Yeah.
makes me like paralyzed. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I suck with money. Well, I don't suck with money. I'm doing
Yeah.
pretty damn good in this, like so
Yeah.
like that. And but, of course, weight. I mean, we talk about that kind of stuff
Mhm.
and food and the guilt. So I think guilt. I don't even want to say. I would say guilt, and then stemming from guilt would be it's usually
Mhm.
food and physical health and how I'm
Yeah.
treating my body.
But
But
you
no,
are half full. You
I
do
am
think
half
that
full.
way.
I
You
am
really
half
do.
full.
And I think honestly, I am more that than the
Oh
other,
yeah,
but
you
I
are.
can't say that I don't have that, half empty feeling sometimes.
Well, I
But
think
not all
living
the time. Yeah.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
here's the answer according to Sean
Okay.
Acre. What he says is it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter if the glass is empty or full. Scan your life, right?
Yeah.
Scan the world around you and know that there's a picture, right? That there's
Mhm.
a picture and life and the world is your picture. your loved ones is your pitcher, art is your pitcher,
Mm.
nature is your pitcher,
Mhm.
sports is your pitcher. And you can tap into all of these sources of delight, right? These
Right.
sources of nourishment we have. And all of us can take advantage of that. I'm to the point now where when I talk to a person who is so overly pessimistic or
Mm.
negative or nasty that it's almost like dealing with a child. Like, I
Yeah.
can't get my head around it. I can't rationalize with them. I can't reconcile in my mind. Um, and maybe that's just a Pollyannic view, but I feel like it's really served me well in my life. And I think this is a big reason why we're here doing what we're doing, like
Mhm.
sitting here doing this podcast, is because I want to be able to tap into that baseline
Mhm.
in people's hearts and their minds, and inspire them and make them understand there are formulas out there. There are college courses out there. So if there's anything in this world that you might want, is to find happiness.
Right.
And there's methods, there's ways around it. So you had talked about what are some of, like, the simple delights, like, the little things that you do in your day-to-day life to find happiness?
Um, well,
Clutch coffee.
clutch coffee. I'm going to Starbucks a little bit.
Oh, really? Why? What do you get at Starbucks?
I go to Starbucks. I just like their almond milk lattes. I just go
Oh.
through there. Yeah.
See, I love
But
Starbucks, but I'm a ice green tea at Starbucks.
yeah.
To me, Clutch is like
Clutch is
drinking.
comfort. It
They have
is. Oh,
everything.
yeah, it does. You're right. You're right.
Oh,
It does.
yeah, and they're
It's
so
really good.
cute and sweet there.
Every day is just I talk to the people that make me happy. I call them and, my family. Yeah, yeah. I close my yeah,
Chester.
my dog. Oh my
Chester.
gosh. That
Cindy has
dog
the
makes me
cutest
so
dog in the world.
happy.
Yeah.
He's a little rescue dog and I adore him and he makes me happy. But just really and truly when I get up, I try, get on with your day and stuff, but I always try to connect with family and close
You
people just to
see?
say hi. I love
Well, and
that.
you're always she always whenever you walk up to the studio, you're on the
I'm
phone.
on the
"I gotta
phone.
go.
I
Love
know.
you, gotta go, love you." She's opening the Well, here's another fun one
Yeah.
too. Here's another fun one too, that when we moved here, driving through our old neighborhood, and people would wave at each other as you would drive by. And it's weird for
Yeah.
us from New Jersey, but this is a custom that we do not do where I come from. Jeep people are the only people that I know that wave at
Oh,
each other.
yeah.
So let's all become like waiver type people,
Yeah.
and we're gonna do our best. We're gonna do our best to turn you guys into the kind of person that wants to wave, "Hey
Yeah.
neighbor," when you're driving into your neighborhood. So guys, don't go away. On our last segment, probably the most important segment, is the 7 principles of happiness. And we're going to give you point by point. So grab your pen and paper and don't go away. When you come back, we'll go over the 7 principles of happiness on the good soul. So stay tuned. Don't go away. Welcome back, fine people, to episode 5 of The Good Soul. I'm here with Cindy Bishop, my dear, dear, sweet, sweet, amazing friend. Yes, and we were talking about the pursuit of happiness. We covered a lot of ground today. So hopefully you guys have drank in all of this material. And we're going to kind of wrap it up now in this 4th segment and tie a bow on it by talking to you all about the 7 principles of happiness. So feel free. Every point, I'm going to bring up 7 points to
Okay.
interject if you have anything to add or any fun little Cindyism you want to share with me. I would love that. So yeah, absolutely.
You're just
That's a
waiting.
word.
You
It's
just want it.
I can't wait. I'm like, it hasn't happened yet. Darn. Well, Cindy will do things like
Oh.
she'll say the movie Turner and Hooch. She'll be like Turner and Snooch, or
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
like she'll mess up a little word,
Yeah.
and I like get such
It's
a
just, oh my
jollies out
gosh.
of.
And I've done that forever.
Yeah, what's the
It's
big
just,
one? There's a big one that you did last week. I'm like, I
I'm
love when
trying
you
to even
say
think.
that.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
There's so many,
yeah.
but I laugh at myself, so that's good.
Oh my
I'm
God.
not offended when someone cracks up laughing because you can't help it.
Yeah, you have to. Cindy, you're literally gold. So I've definitely notoriously see the world through rose-colored glasses. There's no arguing that. I say this like with like love and respect that I don't necessarily think somebody like my husband does. I think that's part of what makes our relationship work so well is that
Mhm.
we definitely balance each other out, which I know is a pretty elementary way of putting it. But also, but we
Yeah.
do, but there's this also with people like that, there's this stream of contentment and
Mhm.
almost like zen within him specifically. Whereas he can be fiery. There's no question. You can be fiery, but
We all
overall,
can.
like you hear those like he is you are my rock. Like you definitely are like my island. And it's the truth. He
Oh,
is.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's great. Well, no, it's true. I mean, well, we're lucky and I mean it's like it's a win-win, let's put it that way. So thank you. But let's talk about the 7 principles of happiness. Or another word that Sean uses for it is happiness hygiene. Love it. Love it. I
Yeah.
like love all those like buzzwords. So let me put on my specs. So number 1
Yes.
of the 7 principles of happiness, infuse positivity into your environment. So, less negative TV,
Mhm.
create a single positive change in your life that makes a difference. And always, we say, and we said this in Atomic Habits, 2 minutes, right? So, it takes 2 minutes for you to gather your gym clothes and get your butt to the gym. Or, what is there anything that you do in your environment that you think infuses positivity?
This is terrible to say because you're absolutely right watching something positive, but those true crime stories, I watch those all the
There's
time.
nothing positive about a true
I
crime story,
know
sis.
there's nothing positive about it, but I
Where did
kinda
that
like
come
watching it.
from?
I don't
That's
know
a
why. I
delightful
feel
thing.
like I wanna be a detective or something.
Yeah,
Maybe that's what I get into, but no,
it brings you delight.
what brings me to life
Your
is
home.
my home,
Yeah,
the lake. I
yeah,
mean, just looking out at water,
yeah.
just
Well,
water, peaceful, peaceful
Cindy,
water.
your yard is literally a Midsummer Night's
Oh,
Dream.
it's
When
yeah.
I got to your house for the first time, I, like, gasped, and
Mm,
I was like, "Wow," and this is, I think, when we were first looking at property, and I was
mhm.
like, "Can your husband come over and, like, look at our yard and make our yard like your
He
yard?"
loves to work
Yeah, he does a
outside.
great job
He
at
does.
it.
Yeah.
So infusing positivity, I mean,
Yeah.
for us, like, I want my bedroom to look and feel like a spa. I think we've done a good job at that.
Oh, you're
Yeah, and
yeah.
it doesn't require mega bucks. I mean, you could do all of this stuff. I mean, a
Yeah.
absolutely do it on a dime. I mean, from Big Lots to the Goodwill, there's so many places where you could go
And
and make
what
your
you do
environment
for
better.
Good Soul, I mean, bringing an environment, having people come in to the studio and feeling like, wow, this is great. Just the people that you've drawn in and you've
Yeah.
built this up. I mean, that has to bring joy to you and happiness
Oh
because
my
it brings
god.
it to everyone that
Yeah,
walks through,
absolutely.
for
Brings me
sure.
okay,
I
so
love
no
working here.
yeah, so number 1, infuse positivity. Number
Mhm,
2, find something to look forward to. So I
mhm.
just think of back in the day when Manny and I were first dating and we were long distance for the 2 years, and I used to say to him, "I just need to know when I'm gonna see you again. I don't
Yeah.
care if it's in 2 months or 6 months.
Aw.
I can't." That is gonna kind of be like my
Yeah.
like, I don't wanna say dangling carrot because that
Mhm.
sounds like a little desperado, but you know what I mean? Like I
Oh,
really
yeah.
so having something to look forward to, whether it's a vacation,
Mhm.
whether it's having something to look forward to is important. You want to wake up every day and say something new that you're
Oh,
grateful for,
that's
right?
awesome.
So every
Yes,
day,
yes, yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
always. So regardless of your age or your circumstances, gratitude is going to change your vibe. There's no
Mhm.
question. And it's also going to impact what's attracting to you. So in other words, if what you have is not enough
Right.
and you're always asking for more, you're never going to have enough and you're never going to be fully happy. Period.
True.
End of speech. I mean, that's it. Unless
So
you're
true.
grateful for what's going on in your world,
Mhm.
right? And you're worried, oh, why does she have more? Why does he look better? He's got better abs. All that stuff. It's a waste of time and energy. It's a waste of your natural
Mhm.
resources. So, okay. Number 3, spend money on experiences, not on
Mhm.
stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I think the older we get too, the less stuff we realize that we need,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
It's true, and whenever I feel like, "Oh, I can do without that big kitchen
Yeah.
or something along
Yeah.
those lines.
Yeah.
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 No, but when I do,
Niall,
I'm
Niall, you
thinking,
get that
I
kitchen? Come
yeah.
here.
I think, well, I could have that or I could go somewhere really cool. I can, and really you can't take anything with you, so the experience
Yeah,
is more important.
experiences are big, and
It
I feel
really
like that
is.
way with
It really
every
is,
Christmas when
yes.
we go to do a Christmas shopping, I say to Manny, like, "Why don't we just get a big trip?" Like, I'll go,
Yes.
get the kids some little stuff, but let's just plan a trip, and every year I fail miserably at that, and I go out and buy them presents, but one of these years,
Yeah.
I think once Molly graduates college and she's in grad school and they really start becoming more adulty, we'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so, number 4 is conscious acts of kindness.
Mm.
Conscious acts of kindness. So here's a big one. And again, this comes back to you. Write a 2-minute email or text praising or thanking somebody that you know. It makes you happier. It helps you with your social connection with them and the world, right? And as we said, social connection is as important as it is to not smoke, right? To take care of your health and wellness with your body. And so that
Mhm.
social connection. So connect with people.
I love that because you can connect that way. I love that idea
Yeah.
because it's one thing that I'm not afraid to do.
Yeah.
And I always tell my class, but it is true about me. This is one thing that really I believe in. If I throw you a compliment, I sincerely mean it. Whatever
Yeah.
compliment it is, I
Yeah.
mean it, but I want you to know for some reason, I want you to hear that.
What
And
hey,
it,
Cindy, what do you mean when you say to me, "Bless your heart"? Is that your way of flipping the bird? No.
Well, I had to learn that
Uh-huh.
in the South.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
know. Well, that's
yeah.
what we said. We learned
It
that.
means something
The "bless your
completely
heart"
different.
thing is really funny for us Northerners
Yeah,
because I'm like, "Are you
so true.
yeah, are you laughing with me or at me?" Was that a
Yeah,
dig?
yeah,
So, yeah. Okay, so yeah,
yeah.
conscious acts of kindness is good. Number 5, I mean, this goes without saying, is exercise. Get your
Mm.
body moving every day, whether
Oh,
it's if you're bedridden and all you can do is move your fingers, if you can get up and run a marathon. Get your
absolutely.
body moving every day on a regular basis. Number 6, meditation.
Mm.
Meditation. The more time you can spend in stillness, the more it's going to work, right? You'll feel calm, you grow the left prefrontal cortex of your brain that is responsible for you being
Mhm.
happy. So for me, when I meditate, this is really important. I've been doing TM and we're adding meditation into our repertoire at the studio. You have to make sure you're sitting up. I don't care what anybody says. And a
Mhm.
lot of people want to lie down. When we were on the retreat, everybody was lying down in our meditation sessions.
Right.
You really have to be sitting up, straight spine, shoulders over hips, right? And that is where I literally have breakthroughs when I meditate. Like
Mhm.
a project I want to complete, a goal, that I've set something I want to achieve, the answer will crystallize and I'm like, I have that what figured out like in that meditation.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
really important. We tried it one night in bed and he was like, this is stupid. I mean,
Well, I
yeah.
think you have to
No,
be
we did it one
comfortable.
night. That was it. Yeah, we did it
Do you
one
know
night.
I walk my dog every day, and not every day, sorry, Niall, I don't. He walks him a lot, but I do walk my dog. And when I do, I walk past this one neighbor of mine, and I don't ever interrupt her, but she's sitting out in the grass on the side of her house, and she's facing the sun, and it's getting close to sunset
Mhm.
time, and she just goes into a meditative state, and I can see her just looking up in the sun, and I think, "What a great way to end your day." Like, she came home from work. It's her
Beautiful.
place where she finds peace and she finds her
Yeah, I
meditation
love
there.
it.
I love it.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. All right, so on that note, let's move on to number 7.
Mhm.
Number 7 is to exercise your signature strength. So find your signature strength. So the mural is a great option.
Mhm.
Tommy, our daughter's boyfriend, was over last night and he was talking about hike. He loves to hike. And I said, "Well, why don't you make a career?" And he said, "Well, I don't want the career to get in the way, but to exercise your strength if you can sing." But conversely, right, if somebody's making you do something, right, that you don't like to do, if your parent is forcing you into being a
Mhm.
gymnast and you don't want to be a gymnast because maybe they have some unfulfilled childhood dream, don't be shy to speak up because it's
Right.
never too late to change. So
Mhm.
I'm going to run down those real quick. Happiness hygiene. Again, get your pen and paper. So infuse positivity into your environment. 1. 2, find something to look forward to. 3, spend on experiences, not on stuff. 4, committing conscious acts of kindness on the regular, 5, exercise, 6, meditation, and 7, use your skills. So the bottom line, right, is
Mhm.
happiness is a choice. It spreads when we choose happiness, and it's easier for others to choose happiness because we shine like
Mm.
lights. It's an advantage. When we create happiness in the present, we're better at making the world better for other people. So as I
Mhm.
say in class, a happy, healthy you creates a happy, healthy world around you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Cindy, so much for
Thank
being here with us. If
you.
you have any questions, email me at hello@goodsoulyoga.com. Catch us on all streaming platforms. And of
Yep.
course, catch us on WSIC 1059 FM radio on Saturdays between 9 and 10. Love you guys. Thank you for
Love you,
being here.
Patty.
Love you,
Thank
Cindy.
you. Thank you,
Peace.
Manny.